The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome to Leadership Podcast. It is yet another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, as usual, I'm your regular host, George Agba is my name. And of course, with me here in the studio is our in-house analyst, Silas Ezeogu.
Welcome.
And Chibuzo Okaibe.
Thank you.
And of course, the big issue of the day is PDP, zoning, and the looming crisis. Well, the opposition People's Democratic Party has thrown open the contest for the presidential race. The Committee on Zoning of the party jettisoned the idea of zoning and said the contest is now open, although it did actually come out to announce it yesterday. But documents that was leaked yesterday from the committee showed that one part of his recommendation was to throw the contest for the presidential race open. And the leaked document, which was made available to a section of journalists yesterday, stated as follows: zoning, as in our party's constitution, is affirmed. In spite of one above, ticket is thrown open this time around due to exigency of time. Our party is encouraged to always make the issue of zoning very clear at least 6 months before sales of form. Well, this is in spite of the call by Southern governors that the presidency of the party should be zoned to the southern part of the country. Well, Chibuzo, everything we're supposed to talk here is in the news, but at the end of the day, the issue at stake here is that most Nigerians are saying they see another fresh crisis coming for the opposition party, because for a gentleman agreement that was reached, which at the end of the day brought President Muhammadu Buhari into office as president in 2015, and Yaradua in 2007, is being breached. And at the end of the day, they say it's as a result of the exigency of time. What kind of time are they talking about?
I think they will be in the best when the Autumn Committee presents its report. Maybe he'll be in the best position to give light on that exigency of time, because it's most analysts have been struggling to understand what they mean by exigency of time. The zoning thing has been on. It has been a heated debate, and expectedly so. Repeatedly, we discussed it even on this platform, and we could see that over and again, the debate was always going to be within the PDP. And as much as the APC would also have its own debates on the same issue, whether to zone to southwest or southeast or south-south, because in their own case, it's pretty clear that they are going to go down south. So it will be really awkward if they go back to the north, actually. But it's pretty clear that they are likely going to go down south. Where down south for the APC is going to be the debate for them. For PDP, because of the events of 2011 and 2015, this zoning thing was always going to be the way it is now, particularly when the president for a particular part will be wrapping up his tenure. It wasn't so much a big issue in 2019 because it was a northern candidate thing. Even though some people felt, okay, if a northern person takes over from Atiku, takes over from Buhari, defeats Buhari in 2019, what now happens? But it wasn't a big issue as such, because eventually Buhari won. So now the whole North-South debate has become the center point of discussion within the PDP, and it's going to be so perhaps until after the PDP primaries, regardless of what happens at this point, because the northern bloc of the party are insisting that they will be hard done if the party does not give them the opportunity to serve the equal number of years their southern counterparts have served, in keeping with the zoning arrangement. Whereas the southern bloc is saying, well, the whole idea of zoning, even as reflected in the party, is to reflect the reality of the political situation in the country, which is north and south. And since a northern president has served, it is only expected that a southern president should serve. So it will be a major talking point, perhaps even until after the convention, when
Well,
we produce the presidential candidate of the party.
thank you, Chibuzo. Silas, you see, from what Chibuzo has said, it's very clear here. The PDP seems to be restricting this zoning thing to just a party affair, forgetting that when you talk of zoning, it has to reflect the interest of all Nigerians, despite the fact that you are the platform that will produce the president. Whatever we talk about zoning should be such that the interest of the entire Nigerians should be carried along. And that means that Nigerians are not looking at the zoning arrangement within your own party alone. They are looking at the zoning arrangement from a nationalistic point of view, where you say, okay, the North has come to serve 8 years, and now it is only fair, based on a gentleman's agreement, that it should go back to the South. And that is why the Southern governors came out clearly to say no. For the fact that a Northern president is serving out his tenure, the next president should come from the South. And we would always hear, even in songs, they will always use it, agreement is agreement. I don't know, the PDP seems to have gotten it wrong here. Don't you think so? In terms of the zoning arrangement. Throwing the contest open.
Yes, when you throw a contest open, it gives this percent of level playing field.
Mm.
Look at the Nigerian political space. It's not really level playing field. Really, the country, from colonial experience, has been the North has always been a bigger part of the country. I think the North has 19 states. Yeah?
Yes.
So the South
17.
before now add Abuja to the North. Pretty is 20. Okay. So, and if you come to the definition of constituency and co, in fact, Kano and Katsina alone, has taken out the whole of Southeast in terms of when it comes to constituency designation, and so on. So, when all those guys come to vote, they will quickly vote those in the South. That's the advantage of it, and that's what they're playing at. But they should know that it's not a question of winners take all. Before I came to see, I was wondering in my mind if this situation were reversed and the Southern president on APC was finishing his tenure, would the PDP be considering a Southern? Would they even contemplate leaving it open for a Southern person to take it again?
I'm not sure it will even be quiet the way things are going now.
So
by now you would have heard serious.
So they should put themselves in the shoes of the other person who is complaining, And these are specious arguments they're making that they have voted 2 years or a year ago. They know that they cannot make any argument the way it suits you. But I know that if the situation were reversed, and that's what they started going on so long ago, and started shouting that this power should go to the South. And I must also tell you that among people from southern Nigeria, and even some people from Middle Belt, their mindset had already been attuned to the fact that this power should go to the South. Whether it's PDP or APC. And what is even different between APC and PDP? Can you really say the difference between APC and PDP? When the leader of APC now was a PDP member, and the leader of PDP is an APC member, and the whole members have all mixed up, without any clear distinction of what they just, So, the way I look at it is that they want to play the advantage they have, but they should also know that if they don't manage the crisis well, right now, because of the the way this government of Buhari has gone, APC, this next election is for the PDP to lose. They should not be trying to snatch, defeat from the jaws of victory. That election is for them to win. But if they don't manage this issue well, they can
paving way.
They can cause intervention that will cause the party. That thing. So they should be careful how they manage it.
Well,
but they should also remember that because we are talking about equality, equity, justice, and co. These are things that you cannot wave away. People who are fighting for justice can go to any length to get it. You understand? They can go to any length to get it.
Even if it requires managing a bad government like the APC,
they will go.
Yes. Well, let's just quickly take a short break, and hoping that by the time we come back, our viewers will actually contribute constructively to the conversation on the big issue. Don't go offline. We'll be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We're still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is the PDP, zoning, and the looming crisis. As we were talking, Chibuzo, I think one of the reasons we see the papers reporting today was that the idea of why PDP may have decided to throw the contest open is because it's afraid of its major stronghold, the North. Doing very well, that just like what Silas says, we should talk about the 19 northern states, in addition to FCT making it 20 against the 17 states in the South. And then some reports are suggesting that the idea of the PDP jettisoning zoning and then throwing the contest open could be the fact that they are considering their stronghold, which is the North. So that at the end of the day, if they say the ticket is zoned to the South, let them not lose out from their mate, because the people feel that the North has the block of the votes, has the votes that can actually do the winning anytime, any day. But such thinking, such fears, is it justified to actually breach an agreement, even though it's not constitutional?
Well, the concept of breaching agreement is neither here nor there, because everybody has an agreement to make. As for whether the voting population should drive the way party stakeholders think or the way the party thinks, I think it is inevitable that will not be brought to the table. Every region wants to bargain with what he has. That is the truth of the matter. And you always want to put your best foot forward going into any kind of negotiation and try to push to ensure that you come out of it with something tangible. However, I listened to Otom today and on another TV station, and he was trying to explain how they came about with the situation.
Yeah, so he was even trying to
deny
that
he never said. But None of the papers quoted him.
No.
None of the papers.
They were relying on that leaked document.
It was, in fact, people who were at that meeting were some of the people who gave out the position to the press.
Of course.
Because when he came out of the meeting, he was asked repeatedly. He just said they are going to submit their
Carried
report
on it and say
to NEC.
NEC will now do the announcement. Yeah.
So it ended at that. You don't expect 37 members of a committee not to tip off or send out a signal as to what has happened.
And a committee whose membership is made of both members of the party from the southern part.
Exactly. They are also mindful of,
yes,
if you keep this thing secret for too long, you don't know when they're going to call the NEC meeting.
Yes.
Between that time and the NEC meeting, a lot could have happened. A lot could have changed. They could get there and it's a different report altogether. So they needed to start.
Not even be happy with the decision.
With this, of course, now, most of the community, especially those from the southern part of the country,
some of them came out
wearing
long faces. Well, if long faces will reflect the state of the mind. But I saw some of them come out because I was there. Some of them come out with long faces. Some were smiling, some were jubilating. And if you see the part that is jubilating,
that was the mind's construction.
If you see the part that is jubilating, it's a part of the people that were jubilating and who they have been supporting in the course of these elections. It gives you an inkling. You understand. So
anyway, the thing
Autumn is right to say he didn't say it has been thrown open. Of course, nobody quoted him, but he's right to say that. So it is when he presents that report to the NEC,
and whether they accept or not,
whether they have decided to throw it open or decide to keep it closed. But there was also something he said which is very instructive, that the NEC also has the capacity and the power to deliberate on it.
So they're not the final say.
No, they are not. They are
just a recommendation.
The committee and he was right in saying our report will be submitted to the NEC because it is the NEC that mandated us to do this task. So even when the Bala committee did its own assignment, it had to submit back to the NEC. And then the NEC reviewed it and said, okay, we'll keep this in the cooler. Because they knew it was always going to be a very hot issue. So they kept it in the cooler, and now an attempt to reopen it still showed that the thing was still hot. The cooler had not cooled it off enough rather. So this report as well will go through the same process. They'll present it to the NEC. The NEC, as the highest ranking body, second only to the convention, will sit on it, deliberate on it, and then when the NEC comes out with the position, it becomes final. Yeah. So as of now, it is still a report by a 37-member committee, although some still feel if the party could have entrusted these sets of people to undertake this task, most of them are still NEC, most of them are NEC members, most of them are BOT members, then it's almost a given that the NEC might not do so much in upholding what has happened. But again, some other people are still of the school of thought that there is among the aspirants that this consensus discussion going on might perhaps serve as a fallback plan, so such that if they continue to gauge the mood of the nation, because it's critical. I've interacted with a couple of party stakeholders, and they have actually reflected that they are not unmindful of the mood of the nation, which is quite critical, So perhaps that might be a fallback plan if they weigh and see that this thing might not go well without some major backlash, and all that. Maybe we could fall back on this to see how it goes. Interestingly, the APC has issued its timetable, and they'll be coming up with their own presidential candidates a day after PDP. I think a day or two after PDP.
I think there is.
So you can see in some way that there's some hide and seek playing out. None of the parties want to show where they are going to dance to, so that they use it as a leverage of sorts.
Well,
to throw the other party.
The latest development coming now is that the APC is owning that particular timetable.
Oh, okay.
Just came up now, but you see, they say there's no smoke without fire. A situation where the very first committee, the Bala committee, came up.
Yes.
And what they actually arrived at as recommendation is exactly what the Autumn Committee now is actually coming up with again. That shows you that very powerful forces within the opposition PDP are working against the presidency going to the south. And of course, that even explains why most of the aspirants now who are even taking this thing seriously, visiting the perceived kingmakers in the country like IBB, Abdul Salami, and the likes of are mostly northern presidential aspirants like Saraki, Atiku. We have Bala Mohammed and who again?
They've also been
Tamboa.
They've also been visited by some Southern.
Oh, they've been visited, of course. But
good number of them.
I am talking where the heat is more. I think the northern aspirants are actually.
No, look at even that. Who headed the Bala committee? Bala from the north. Northeast. Who headed the Tatman Tom from the north central? You know, if you look at it, why didn't they make a sardina to this?
Ugwai headed the committee for the party zoning.
Zone of party offices.
Or party offices, not
not the main fish. The big fish is the presidential one.
Of course,
that's the big fish. And they decided to choose people from on 2 occasions. So I don't know what the people is playing at, but I wish them the best. Because it says something. It says something very clear. The constitutional option might be a fallback plan.
Might
be. You know, that's looking ahead. Because I know that even when the clamor for a certain president was raging, it's not only people from the south that were saying Paul should go to the south. People from the middle belt,
true,
are also saying Paul should go to the south.
In fact, even Afenifere being specific.
Even Afenifere,
when you talk about those,
Afenifere has even been insisting on the southeast.
Yes. Most of them are quite consistent on specifics.
On the southeast,
the middle belt group has repeatedly said southeast.
Afenifere too.
Afenifere has said southeast. Ike Clark has said southeast.
Yes.
So I think there is a sense of there's a consensus.
Yes.
Consensus seems to be the buzzword.
Of course, it is.
There appears
to be
among those.
I think the best word here is that there's a congress of opinion that the southeast
to the south
should be given that slot.
So that is why some think, okay, maybe this whole discussion has not ended. Not even with the Autumn Committee, whatever. It has not ended. The conversation is still ongoing. And that was why initially I said, even up to the build-up and in the course of the convention or the primaries, this discussion will continue. Because there has to be, there's a lot of giving and taking that is going on. A lot is going to be involved in all of this. But like you said, we wish them good luck. And I also wish them good luck. Because if they fail to get it right, whatever good intentions they have might just be eroded with all of this zoning thing. They don't get it right.
And then we'll begin to see a situation where we'll be poised to witness a lot of defection from a gale of defection from the opposition. Because I don't think the southern governors who in the Asaba Declaration came saying the power should return to the south. We find this funny. That is the implication here. Silas, that alone might even be something to fear of impending implosion of the opposition party.
If they not defect, they will not be so keen to work for another candidate after Buhari has stayed for 8 years. To have the power stay another 8 years, that's 6 years. So it may be that they will not be just like they did with Jonathan in 2015. The PDP members in the north, they can go into laugh. But those who are PDP members in the north, actually, those who stayed neutral, those who defected to APC, defected, those who stayed with PDP and worked against Jonathan. And worked against Jonathan to bring him down because they want the power in their mind. The power should return to the north. They were not thinking about party at that time
at all.
They were talking about region.
You can imagine that it went beyond party. That is even why the APC even had the upper hand to defeat an incumbent because that.
And something afterwards, many of them who worked against, but defected to that opposition party now ruling party. So now that the northern people didn't talk about. party, in party stuff. To turn about region to region, southern and northern. Now that remembering that PDP, no. They should, they are talking from both sides of the mouth. But the issue is that, importantly that we need to get somebody, whoever is coming,
Exactly.
that can do this job.
Exactly.
That's the most important. It also,
Exactly.
that is problem. Even if they're going to the southeast, they should make sure that the person that is on the southeast is somebody who can do the job.
It's capable
If
of
he's
doing
going
the
to
job.
the north, whoever it is going, look, if things are hard in Nigeria, it doesn't look at faces.
Exactly.
It's hard for people in the north central, the northeast. The only thing I don't know about doing to the east or doing is so they have sense of justice, belonging, and co. Because people have long felt that they were excluded from the scheme of things since Nigerian independence since 1996. Since to now is practically 45 years. Nobody from the southeast has been head of Nigeria, and every other session has been. So when you look at it, they say, okay, fine, bring us back to it, bring them back to this. Yeah. But ultimately, whoever is coming, they should select somebody who is ready to go against the grain. Because whoever is coming that should fix Nigeria or stop Nigeria for siding is somebody who is trying to do things outside of the way
Things were
being done right now. You need to get that kind of person. Otherwise, Nigeria is going to fight.
Well, Silas, just like you rightly said, I think what Nigerians are interested now is a competent person who will actually tackle the major issues
can go side by side.
in the country, like insecurity, which has reached a monumental proportion. But whatever the case, the zoning issue is still important. But Chibuzo has actually said that it's a recommendation for now. And then the committee of the whole house, which is NEC, will have to sit down, deliberate on it, and then agree. While we are waiting, it is right to say that the opposition party is sitting on a time bomb, because at the end of the day, if it goes ahead to insist on throwing the contest openly, jettisoning zoning, they won't find it funny from their southern brothers who have insisted that no, with the northerner serving out 80s, I think it is time for power to go to the south. Well, it's an unfolding event as we await NEC meeting of the opposition party to see what they might finally come up with the recommendations of the autumn committee. It is still not decided yet, and so we will not just conclude, but it is just that a word is enough for the wise, and the PDP should use its tongue to count its teeth. Thank you very much for keeping tab with us. And of course, I'll thank our in-house analysts for addressing the big issue the way it should be. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.